Yay.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. But we have a new member who has just joined. He's not able to be here tonight, Ryan Miller. You guys know him. And so, yay. And so we have our 18 that you know I've been talking about.
Yeah, baby.
Very, very important. Yes, very important. We're here tonight, it's Tuesday evening. It's our weekly Toastmaster meeting. And of course, the mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence, personal growth. Yes. Let's hear it for our mission. Woo! Okay, this is my first day out of the brace. So
Yay.
this looks like I can clap, but I can't still clap yet. So I'm gonna wave and you guys clap. All right. Yes. Please use that on my behalf. I love my clapper. Can't quite.
But maybe not next.
Yeah, maybe not. All right. We have tonight our special guest. I've been mentioning that she was going to be here. This year, and the clock is ticking down, she has been both our area director and, more importantly, our division director. And of course, I think she's done a phenomenal job. Lots of energy, lots of attention and focus, and visits to us. This coming year, we have another division director, Damon Fairchild. But Lisa has agreed, because she loves us, to be our area director again. And so we're really glad to have her here. And she is going to be working on a project for her level 4 leadership development pathway, which is going to be helping us with our pathways understanding. It's developing a question and answer session. So we're really looking forward to that. And we're going to have that taped so that you can refer to it in the future. It will also be available. With that, I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to call up our Toastmaster for the evening, Janet Evertson.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. Well, this evening we're going to have our roles, which I will introduce. Our timer is going to be Erin Russell. Tell us about that.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I will be the timer tonight, so I'll be keeping track to make sure that all of our speeches and table topics and evaluations stay on schedule. Would you like me to keep time for yours?
If you could.
You have 30 minutes, I think, scheduled for your
I would like to have you time 7 to 10 minutes just to make sure that I'm not getting too carried away with my portion of the presentation before I turn over for questions and answers.
So you want 7 to 10 minutes of your actual...
Actually make it 10 to 12.
10 to 12, okay. So I'll do the green light at 10, the yellow light at 11, and then the red at 12. That works for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And then we also have table topics tonight. Table topics will be 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5 minutes, and the red light at 2 minutes. And then our table topic evaluation will be 3 minutes. So green light at 2, yellow light at 2.5 minutes, and then a red light at 3. And for all of those situations, you will have an additional 30 seconds to keep speaking after the red light comes on, after which you will be disqualified.
Can you also time the end of it just to make sure that we don't get carried away with questions and answers too?
Yeah.
So cut us off at 30 minutes.
Okay, so 30 total minutes.
Or at least checking with her.
Alright.
We may decide to give her more because we're just, having so much fun.
Transfixed, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. And now I'd like to introduce our grammarian, Peter Armstrong.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. viewers at home, as grammarian, it's my responsibility to listen to the language that's used by members during the meeting and to make a note of any exceptionally good or not so good uses of language, English or whatever. And then I will give a brief report at the end of the meeting. Our word of the day today is very difficult to read. It is metamorphosis, because our markers are not completely fresh. A metamorphosis is any complete change in appearance, character, or circumstances. And a sample sentence is the caterpillar undergoes a metamorphosis to become a butterfly. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Marion. And tonight, our counter will be Carmen and Tacona.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. Today I'm gonna be the counter, so I'm just gonna make sure that everyone doesn't have those little flaws in their speeches, like like, you know, so, but, and, tongue click, zeroes, and false start. I'm gonna give my report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Carmen. We have a slight change. I'm going to ask Dee to take over as greeter joke master with Dan, and then Dan could possibly be our general evaluator.
Dan's also an evaluator.
I'm also an evaluator, so
Oh, what do
I'll
you
give
want?
myself high marks.
Yes, we know you can do it, you're the man.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So, Dan will be our general evaluator, but we do that later, right? Okay.
I don't have a joke.
Tonight, we're very honored to have our special guest, Lisa Purcell, who's going to be doing a prepared speech. She is our area director and is going to be giving us a pathways refresher, which is going to help us all get on board with our pathways. Please welcome Lisa.
Thanks, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored audience. Have any of you guys tackled the change and thought at first, I got that. I don't want to look like I'm not understanding it, and then had to go back and figure it out later? Has that ever happened to someone? That's what this is all about. Pathways refresher. Did anyone attend any of the Pathways training sessions where they talked about pathways or introduced the idea? Did that
We
happen?
had one here, but it was very
Sort of.
High level?
convoluted. No, it was very,
Okay.
a lot
No.
of questions still, not, so.
Okay.
When I was at the district, there was a pathways panel where they'd ask questions to people.
Okay. So what I want to do today with the session I want to talk about an review, and this is going to get us in the same place as far as terminology and talking about what pathways is. And if I sense that you need even a more basic understanding, I can always come back and talk about it some more. But I also want to encourage you all to just go out and try it. You can't break the system. And speaking as someone that's been in Toastmasters for 22 years, if you can teach this experienced dog new tricks, I have great confidence that every one of you can do it too. So you all know my email address. I've sent you emails and I'll leave my contact information. Feel free to call me anytime you have any concerns about pathways. But what I want to do today is just kind of explain a little bit about what it is. I'm not going to compare it to the old system, but if you want me to slow down and explain it like that, I can do that. So don't feel shy about asking questions. That's the first thing I want to do, is to explain to you guys it's okay to ask lots of questions today, okay? I'm gonna talk about what I've done in Pathways personally, because I think that will help relate some information to you. And I also want to talk about some tips and tricks that I've discovered or that I've heard other people talk about. And then I want to leave the session open for questions. And I have an internet connection here, so I can actually demonstrate the screens in front of us. Any questions about that? Okay. So Pathways has 11 different ways to approach it. And I don't know if you are familiar with the old book system, but in the old book system, you had just one book everybody uses. And it didn't matter if you are someone that's an experienced speaker that's here just to brush up your skills, or you're scared to death to be in front of a public thing. We all got the same book. One thing nice about Pathways is you have 11 entry points. So if you are someone that is comfortable with speaking, but you want to work on humor speaking, there is something called engaging humor. And if someone's told you that you think you'd be a good leader, but you're scared to death to do leadership, I have no idea where to start, leadership development is here. There's a lot of different paths here. And that's why I showed you the screen, is to show you there's a lot of uniqueness and diversity in Pathways that wasn't ever there with the old system. And that's one thing, as someone that has gone through the old system, I'm very excited about with the new one. And I've gone far enough in the new system that I can verify that that's really true, that there's a lot of ways that you can do in Pathways that you couldn't do. You're restricted in the old system. So, strategic relationships, motivational strategies, that's actually one of them that I have too, in addition to leadership development. But you can go any way you want. And when you go through Pathways the first time, it'll ask you a bunch of questions and find out which one is probably a good match for you. But if you start looking at it and you decide it's not really for you, you can back out of it and pick something else yourself and not have to go with what they choose for you. You guys have any questions about a path?
Could you
So
repeat
that's the
that
first-
last sentence?
If you go take that at first assessment in Pathways, and
I
it
did.
says, here's two things that we think, two paths out of these 11 that we think would be a good match for you. If you go into one of them and you're like, I'm crazy about that, you can change and get out of it. I'm going to talk about this later, but we actually have something called a catalog, and I tend to like to do things electronically, but I wanted to show you in case you're someone that likes to see it printed. I just have one copy because it's 70 pages long, but it actually goes through all 11 paths, all of the electives, and tells you exactly what it's going to ask you to do, like how long the project is, how long the speech is, and I've done all my planning based upon that. I've actually mapped out how many different electives I'm going to do and how long it's going to take for me to prepare for each thing, so that I can gauge how long it's going to take for me to get through the levels. But this catalog is really cool for that, and it has descriptions in the beginning about every one of those 11 paths. It gives you a lot of
You can
detail.
download that?
Yes,
Okay.
it's available on our District 19 website,
And where is it online?
and
Here?
that's where it's at online. They don't have it at Toastmasters.org, but District19.me, our District 19, has that catalog available.
To look at online?
Mhm.
As a
Yep,
PDF?
it's a PDF.
So you go here and then you go to, and go ahead.
Yeah, I can show you later
Yeah,
how to
sorry, go
find
ahead.
it. The other thing too that I want to mention is the first time I saw that was through a discussion forum on Facebook. On Facebook, if you're into Facebook, if you look up Pathways Discussion Forum, and you have to ask to be joined to it. It's really just to make sure they don't get a lot of spammers. But once you get in there, they have discussion forums where people talk about Pathways and how they're handling it. And they have a file in that Facebook group, and this is one of those files. There's cheat sheets for Pathways. There's a lot of great information on that Facebook site too. All right, so that's paths. Okay, so thinking about these 11 paths, I chose leadership development, the second one down, far left, okay? So what happens when I choose that is I go through 5 different levels. So it's kind of like having books in the old system. And you don't have a leadership book and a communication book. This is everything together. They're putting everything together. And each level gives you harder things to do, or not necessarily longer speeches, but something where you actually have to do something before you do your speech. And we'll kind of go through that together, but this is like the overall picture of it. In my situation, I went through level 1, gone through level 2. I just finished level 3 last week, and this speech itself is level 4. And I'll show that to you for a little bit too, but that's how I'm progressing. I have to go through 2 of these, so 2 patents, to get to my DTM, which is my goal. So, to break down this tree one farther down, this is just to kind of walk through what you're going to see in pathways. Your first level, you know how your old CC manual has 10 speeches? Check this out, 5 speeches. And you're done with level 1. You don't have to wait for 10 speeches to finally celebrate. You can celebrate and get done with level 1. And your whole club can celebrate too, because if you can get 4 people through that, that's 1 point for your district club program. Is everybody familiar with the district club program?
DCP,
The
that's the
DCP.
one, the 10 goals that we're working on and all of that.
That's what this is tied to, right?
That's what these are for too.
Oh, I see.
You guys have a long history of this. What happens when your club is making the marks, it means that people are doing speeches. They're doing things to push themselves to grow. When you're not doing your educational program and you just show up because they're awesome people to hang out with, you can kind of get bored after a while. You have to be working to push yourself, even though it's uncomfortable. That's the main thing, and we should all be doing that together. We should help each other in a patient but very firm way to keep on growing and keep on moving towards our program. So that's what this is all about. With level 1, you got your icebreaker. I think I saw that, didn't you have a goal to get a bunch of people through icebreaker?
Yeah.
Okay. So the icebreaker is similar to the old one where you have 4 to 6 minutes. It's just talking about yourself. You can pick the topic. You could talk about clowns. You could talk about farming. You could talk about gardening. Anything that is exciting to you. That's what icebreaker is all about. The second thing you do in level 1 is speech of your own topic. Again, pick whatever you want. Very similar to what we've done in the past. It's just getting yourself used to talking in front of people. When you deliver that speech, the person that evaluates you gives you all that written information about how you did. And you're supposed to actually give that same speech again and use the evaluation information that you collected so that you can show yourself improving from one speech to the next. That's one thing I really like about this that we didn't do in the old program. And I went to a convention, international convention, and one of the professional speakers that moved to that profession from Toastmasters said that he typically did that. He would sign up for more than one club. You'd use that same speech at each club, and he could see himself getting better by doing that, delivering that same speech multiple times. Okay, so once you deliver it a second time, we want you to get started evaluating. So that's level 1, 2 is evaluating someone else in the club. And then finally, do a research topic. Think of something that you've never really had a chance to dive into before, get some information about it, and then do a speech about it. For me, it was car shopping. My research topic on that. Turned out pretty well. I saved myself some money doing that too. So that, 5 speeches instead of 10 for CC, and you're done with level 1 for pathways. Any questions about that? Am I doing this okay rate-wise? Is this
Sure.
making sense to you?
So are we at 11
said-
minutes?
You're yellow already.
You
right?
said 12 minutes, right?
But you got
Are you gonna have
interrupted along the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, well, I just wanna make sure to, you know,
If we have to stop, if we have to ditch table topics, I'm hoping our
That's
table
fine.
topics master, is that's Veda, because this is really
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
and
yeah,
she's
I
here.
agree.
Okay, so just,
Yeah,
you just keep going.
I'm just doing what I was told.
yep, I'm glad you're doing that, we can be here all night, because I love talking.
Yeah.
Okay, from that same tree, level 2, the next few ones can be a little bit faster. You only have to do 3 projects on level 2. So we did 5 speeches, now we're doing 3 more. 2 of them can, depends on which path you picked. So they're not all gonna be the same. I happen to do managing time. And I talked about goal setting within managing time. And then I also did understanding your leadership style, which was kind of interesting because the guy, I have my club meeting during the day, so I have to leave my work and go to another building. And I typically tell the person next to me where I'm going in case I get calls or something. And I was showing him my leadership style thing. He goes, "Is that some HR thing?" Like, no, it's Toastmasters. So he thought it was a professional development thing. That's one thing I like about the new program too, is designed to be able to be confirmed by HR to pay for training if needed. So I thought that was kind of neat about that new pathways. And then finally, those are the 2 electives, and then it introduces you to the idea of mentoring. If you've heard of mentoring before, this is a really good refresher for you. It'll give you a video, it talks about the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And then you're supposed to do a project about when you've mentored someone or when someone's mentored you. That's the project. It's a 5 to 7 minute speech. The interesting thing about level 2 is when you're done, it opens up in the system another side program that you can take, and that's all about mentoring. So it's encouraging you to get a mentor or be a mentor to someone else, and it walks you through steps like that. And Pathways has a badge system that gives you awards for doing certain things in the system. And I think the district eventually will pick up on this because their award system right now is really designed on the legacy, the LCC program. But this is another side project, and it really should be something that everybody does anyway. You're just getting credit for doing it. But to get your DTM, it's not required. It's an optional thing, which is the mentoring thing. Did that confuse anyone? I just wanted to explain it was out there. I can show you when we get into the website. I have an option for that now because I've passed level 2. Okay, tree, we got through level 1, level 2. Level 3 is 3 more projects. And then it also checks in to make sure that you're doing club meeting roles at level 3. So you have to complete all of these items to get to level 4. Pathways, you can't jump around to do a level 4, and a level 2, and a level 5, partly because it gets a lot more complicated as you get down there. But they also want to control your learning to make sure that you're not skipping around and not understanding something. So with level 3, again, you're going to just pick one of the following, and it's determined by which path you take. You have to take 2 electives. What I have here, and you have on your printout, is just some examples. They're not everything, but just to kind of give you an idea. And if anybody wants to leaf through the catalog too, these are all detailed in there.
What's a social speech?
I would think that that's kind of like a toasting someone at a wedding, or I would call that a social speech. Maybe delivering a eulogy. I actually didn't pick that. I could in the future, but I would guess that that's probably what it is. You can also look in your catalog too. It might give you a better idea. It's not going to give you everything that you see in Pathways, the catalog. It just gives you a general idea of what it's about. And it gives you time frames of how long it's going to take to do it. Okay, beyond the 3 projects, the last bullet is, it does check to see if you have done a general evaluator role, a speech evaluator, Toastmaster, and topic master. And in the pathways system, do you know how every website now has these little gear things, and it's where you find your settings to maybe change your password or to tell the system who you are? Well, you have that same gear thing in pathways, and there's an account, and in that account you can put in there when you do your general evaluator. What you do is type in the date that you did it. If those fields are blank, it won't allow you to move on to the next level. So it does want you to do club roles, but it's kind of like a cursory check in pathways. In the old system, it kept track of, in the leadership manual, every time you did one, you get credit for it. But in pathways, I think what they want to do is focus more on personal growth. And although meeting roles is an important part of understanding everyone, it's, to them, they want to more focus on longer project leadership kind of things and speech making.
In Pathways, who makes the entries into the system that certifies that I have done Toastmaster or a speech evaluator or whatever?
You do it, and you could, if you're concerned about validating that, you could, as a vice president of education, when you approve that level, check back in your agendas to see if they've done it, that kind of thing.
So I would look back, but those agendas are kept then in Easy Speak, not in Toastmasters.org.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I haven't approved a level 3, I'm not sure if it shows you what their dates were, so you can see that, or if you'd have to ask them to show you. That's kind of a judgment thing for you. Just similar to what, if you saw someone's CL manual in the old system, did you personally see every single one of those? Or, it's just part of the process of whatever you're comfortable for approving people. In my club, we rotate our members' roles every week, so there's no way, after it took me 4 months to schedule in all these different projects, there's no way I missed one of these. So it's kind of up to however your club does that. Anyone else would you agree? And level 4 is what I'm working on right now, and question and answer session, fitting it right in with the needs of what I'm doing. I also did, I'm gonna work on leading your team. That's the other project I have here. And the catalog tells you this too, but I actually have to go through a project. I'm gonna do a membership campaign. So that's gonna be a longer range project. It's not just put together a speech and deliver. I have to do some work. And then the project will ask me to deliver a speech about how it went, or something about what I learned from doing that membership campaign. And I also wanted, kind of jumping ahead, but I have personal milestones. I just printed 3 copies so you guys can take a look at them and you can bring them back. But I actually documented out how to get to a DTM for me. And I estimated that membership campaign would take till July 15th. I'm hoping that I can hit that goal. But that's just a tool that I use to get myself focused on what I need to do to keep on growing. So I just mapped out all my levels.
What does 20 to 25 webinar mean? Manage under the 2 electives examples.
Yep.
First item, what is 20 to 25 webinar talking about?
Minutes.
Yeah, it's a minute.
Okay.
That's how long the webinar is supposed to be. There's some really cool stuff in here, like creating a podcast and having a blog online. Those are interesting things about too.
So on your personal goals here, on the catalog, and it's on the District 19 website, this information, it tells you about how long it takes.
Yeah.
And then based on that, you put it on a timeline for yourself for the calendar year and block out the time. So that's how you would do it to make sure you're marching along.
So you do this one in
You got that.
pathways, or you do it
No,
by
she did this
yourself?
separately.
Yep, I just did that separately. I just got out a Word document and said, I'm just gonna map this out so I can see how long it takes for me to do it.
Just give us
It's
an
really good.
overview of the whole thing.
For me, my personal
Oh, for you,
overview.
right.
But it is an overview in general.
Yeah,
You wanna look at
just
it that
about
way.
that, right.
It's a way to make sure you're hitting goals and you're moving along and you're not stagnating.
Right.
This
Exactly.
is cool. I like this.
Okay. And then 5 is just another one. Again, I mentioned the last one was a membership campaign. That's gonna take a while. These will take a long time too. Some of them are high level. Your HPL, which is getting a committee together to organize like a conference or a contest. Or it could be something work related too, if you want something going on at work that's really complicated, and this is gonna help you walk you through some different steps that maybe you hadn't thought about that will make your work project go more smoothly. So lead in any situation, managing successful events, that's where you're the chair of something. That's at the very end of this path. I just had a couple of things to throw out there that I've heard from time to time. One of them is pathways available in print. Yes, it is, but you have to pay extra to get a book for it. And when you get a book, you actually only have 5 options for paths, and a book does not give you the interactive videos that you see and the assessments and that kind of things. So I haven't even thought about doing printing because I definitely want to be online. I think there's just a lot more resources available to you if you're doing it online. And how many projects are in a path? Typically 14. You saw my mapping out. All those 5 levels together, there's 14 different projects you have to do.
Question.
Mhm.
Do you think it would work to print out the pages from the website if you wanted hard copy? I'm thinking of Jean over at Fort Madison,
Yep.
and somebody wants to take something that's outside the scope of the printed books, or they don't want to spend money on
It's a whole,
books.
yeah, it's a whole deal
Out there.
Just even to have
with
paper?
the prisons.
With the
Yeah.
prison, yeah.
We don't wanna get sidetracked,
Right.
but it's like national attention is being
Right.
put on how do you deliver this when you don't have internet access or email.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you go to Toastmasters and the FAQs, they talk about the fact that they know there isn't a good solution for prison clubs, but they are actively working on it. They have advisory groups working on that specific thing. All right, and this is just a map out of individually how you get to be distinguished, which is what I did personally. And then your club, after next year, this is the only way you're gonna get credit for doing speeches is by doing pathways. So that first level, which is just 5 speeches, you should have 4 members doing that to get a point. So that means, if you think about it, you have a good turnover of new people coming in. Your club is very active. It's another incentive just to keep us fresh. And you know how it is when you have a new member come in. It's exciting to hear there's new speeches, and they have always a good, interesting opinion. And then it gives you guys a chance to mentor new people too. It's fun to have new people come. So that's how the Distinguished Club program maps out.
Is bullet number 3, serving as a club mentor or coach, is that the same thing or are those 2 different things?
Yeah, the top one is your individual thing. So you
Right,
get through your
serving
2 paths, but you still have to serve as a club officer, just like the old
Right.
program. You have to be a club mentor or coach.
Now, is that the same thing? Is a mentor and a coach the same thing?
No, it's not.
Okay, that was my question.
Right,
So a mentor,
And I don't know if I know the specifics about how that is, but I have a lot of more experience with coaching than
because
mentoring.
right now we have mentors and we have coach, and they are different credits, so do you think it's possible that it's like what we have?
Yes, I do. And then the club sponsor Speechcraft or youth group, I think that's new. That wasn't in the old system, but they want to encourage people to do Speechcraft and youth leadership. Just being a district officer and then doing one big project at the end.
On top of the 2 paths?
Yeah, it's sort of like a thesis statement. Because it is the highest level for Toastmasters. Okay.
They did have a youth leadership in the Advanced Communicator Gold.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was also the
Huh.
speech crap too, because I did youth leadership.
Okay, so I kind of touched on these already. Let me see if there's anything else. I treat this level as much as I could like a new member. So if you've done Toastmasters before, that's how I did it. I just try to clear my mind and think, what would a new member feel like? And it also gave me a way to understand when I get new members, what they go through as a new member. So that's how I handled level 1. I think there's been some complaints about everybody having to go through icebreakers and everything all over again if you've done it before. To me, it's like golfing. I could have a golf lesson for the rest of my life and still learn something new. I can do icebreakers forever, and you have a different evaluator every time. They have different ideas about what to do. I accidentally delivered. I accidentally didn't deliver the same speech twice. Remember in level 1 I said you should deliver it twice, and I caught it because someone was talking about you need to do 5 speeches. I said I only did 4. What did I do wrong? So keep an eye on that for level 1. There's just one check off, but you actually have to do the same speech twice within the explanation.
But it's not required. It says that you can deliver the same speech, or you can choose another one. So
Yep, that's true.
So I chose another one.
That's okay too. That's okay. Because you're still getting evaluation notes that you can use on a totally different speech too. So that's okay. But I literally thought it was just one speech. I don't know why, but I think I read through one slide too fast and didn't realize I had to do 2 speeches. And I already told you which paths I'm working on. Levels 2 and 3 and 4, I've done 2 and 3 and I'm working on 4. I'm seeing a pattern happening where you get a specific topic or a specific mission and then you get electives. So for people that don't want to be told what to do, there is a little bit of a, you have to do this, and then there's always an elective where you can pick whatever you want. And even within those electives, you can pick whatever topic you want. So if you're not really into leading a work group, you can talk about leading a book club, or I mean, if you're not into corporate world and you've got your own business, you can talk about a topic that's relevant to that too. It's very flexible like that.
As you mentioned, you can do it either way. Like if you went, oh, I don't really like the one that I'm gonna have to think about that one that says, here's what you have to do. So I'm gonna hop over and do
You can.
electives.
Within the level.
Within the
So
level.
if you're in level
Right.
2 and you want to do an elective right away and not the standard speech that you have to get through, you can do the elective first. And some of them take longer than others. My level 4, this was an easy thing for me to do the question and answer because I was already getting it ready. The other thing, the membership campaign, is going to take, a month and a half, 2 months to develop. So I just took, this elective is what I did first on level 4. Favorite parts? It's a fresh restart for me. I thought I knew everything about speaking. This is telling me, no, I don't. So it's for me, it's refreshing to see everything online. And I feel as though I have something in common with new members. I mentioned that already. Giving feedback. So in one thing with Pathways, if you're familiar with the old system, your book had everything you needed, your evaluation sheet and everything. You have to get into the practice of printing out your evaluation form and bringing that when you have a speech. So if you think you want to have a speech in your back pocket, or you're not actually prepared, you're not on the agenda, but you would be willing to jump in, make sure to have that evaluation form with you when you come. I was disappointed. I know Erin mentioned it. I've had questions like this before. I thought that there would be a separate module online where if it was your time to evaluate someone, you could go in and search for question and answer elective and do the evaluation for Lisa tonight. But unfortunately, they don't have that. And I think that's probably something you'll see in the future because a lot of people have been talking about it online, but it's not there right now. You could, if you have a computer right now and you're evaluating me, you could pull up my PDF, my evaluation. And if you had read-write access where you could go into the PDF and change it, you could fill out the evaluation that way and send it to me electronically
As a PDF.
as a PDF.
Right.
It's not an online form,
It's not within the app.
right? That answer your
You have
question?
to print it out.
Yeah.
And then write on it.
Right.
That's gonna be the best
And
probably.
then what do you do with it once you write on the form? Upload it,
Yeah,
Give it
how
to
how do
them.
you do it?
give it to the person?
The
Give it to
PDF
the
labs, you can't write on it, you have to print it out.
Right. You could print it out or you could send it to them by email. But really bottom line is, it's just like in the past, you give that evaluation to that person and it's theirs to keep, to use in the future. They could, you can scan it and keep it in your pathways. No one else can see your evaluations in there, because you have a login. Or you can just hold on to it. You could ignore them if you want. I mean, that's just the way the Toastmasters handles that. There's no prerequisite to approving your level to get to the next one. It's just between you and that evaluator, passing the information.
So, but how do you know? Because I already complete my level 1.
Yep.
I wanna pass to my level 2.
Yep.
I'm still saying that I need icebreaker. So every time I check, it says no. You need icebreaker.
Okay.
It's already done. But I
Yeah.
don't know how to pass to level 2.
And I can show you when we get online. I can show you what mine looks like that's done already. And I have my second path open, so I can show you what one that's not done yet, what you would have to do to actually say that it's complete.
But you do what you're saying is shouldn't be that icebreaker for other person that
Yeah, you have to,
sign off. Something like that.
not for your icebreaker, like, I found this too, I'd done my icebreaker and I went, and it just kept saying, nope, you haven't done it, you're not doing it, and so I went in and it actually, there's these steps that you have to do, and you have to go all the way through the steps, and there's a place where, I think it's evaluation at the
An
end.
assessment,
And that,
how much
your
you feel
assessment, that's right, you have to go
different.
in after, so you do an assessment at the beginning, like, oh, I'm really bad, and and then you do the speech, and then you go, oh yeah, great, I'm really, but you have to do that after
Assessment.
the
Second
speech
time.
assessment, and then it'll automatically go, okay, congratulations, you're all done, and that's
So
what
the
fixes it.
assessment's like a questionnaire that you have to
Yeah,
check.
yeah, you have to go in and say how much,
I can show that to you
Yeah.
afterwards too.
And I just did my icebreaker last week, so I did all that, and then it sent me an email that said, congrats on finishing your icebreaker, and then it asks you to evaluate
The icebreaker
yeah,
system.
which I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll always have that or if it's just a new pathways thing. Yeah, but I can show you what that looks like when we're done.
Lisa,
Mhm.
and so for all of her steps, because she has completed it, she needs to, and so once she fixes that icebreaker and completes that,
Yep.
will it automatically then come to the base camp manager, or does she
Yes.
have to say?
No, it
It'll
automatically
come, because there's that final step at the end of the level.
Yep.
Where it's just, what's it
says
called?
it's confirming that you're complete. It's
Yeah,
another launch thing.
yeah, and then our vice president of education will get it and we'll check off on that. But,
Yeah.
but,
I mean, feasibly, you could feel uncomfortable about being ready to be down at level 1, and you could go back and do an icebreaker again. Because you have access to every one of those screens. You can do it again. Seriously.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
you
just
have
gonna check
control
my
over deciding if you're comfortable and you're ready for level 2. Because these levels do get more complicated as you go. So if you're more comfortable doing level 1 projects a couple more times, you can do that. When you hit completion, that does send it to someone and they'll say, okay, it's time to move on, Carmen. Gently but firmly.
And what if the vice president of education says, we're almost at July 1 in a new DCP year, so
Yeah.
I am gonna wait to approve you so that you come in on the new year, not the old year.
I have a solution for you on that. There's 2 things you have to do as a base camp manager. You have to prove Carmen's level 1, but then there's another step to make
Open up for level
to
2.
toast. No, the first thing that you do opens her up to level 2, so she can keep going. But there's another thing you have to do on Toastmaster International, and when you do that, it brings up the DCP. So if you want to wait on that until for a month
Excellent.
to make it more convenient for the DCPs, you can do that.
I
can show you how to do
I
that
can give
later.
her the go-ahead and it still
Yes.
is not gonna go in.
Yes, I'll
Oh,
show you how to do that.
fantastic.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
I can let
I'm not
you
gonna
go
spend a lot of
ahead.
time on this because this is kind of like your own little thing you can do on your own. But I did print it out just in case someone wants a visual of it. You don't have to take this home, but it's electronically online. And I'm gonna show you.
You
what
show
that
you
is.
where it, you can show where it is, cause it's really right.
Okay,
You
so in Pathways,
can- yes.
and I'm gonna go to Basecamp.
This is where you go, this is
Yeah,
where you
go to
go.
base.
Everybody goes there.
Okay, so
There you go,
what I have printed out is what Navigator is.
right there.
A brand new person gets an email and one of the links is that thing. It walks you through minutely what you are as a Toastmaster, who you are, where to go. And the printout isn't as effective as seeing it online because you have links there.
Right.
But that's basically, this is just links to different parts of that document. You can print it out if you want, but I did just show you visually what's going on, but it walks you through everything. Welcome, and here's what you need to do to get started. Here's how your club works, like the roles and all that. And then it goes into speech evaluations and basic stuff about that. It'll direct you back to your Pathways thing for that. And then, what I like, I don't know if it shows it. Here's the net PDF that you have right there.
And expand your journey,
Yeah.
that's all the stuff.
So if you're in Toastmasters for a while and you need something to kind of get you going, you know, and get you motivated to do something else, expand your journey is in that nice section. That's in there and it's online. But it talks about getting involved in your club as an officer. It talks about district officer work, what you do. And I came into Toastmasters as someone that was actually speaking at my company already. And at first I thought, oh, I'm just gonna use Toastmasters to keep myself relevant, you know, and to practice so that I don't get nervous at work. I didn't realize that there was so much more than just getting up and speaking. I've done district work now, I've done club officer work, and it's just a way to kind of get to know people better and to handle different personalities. And if you've never led a volunteer program, organization, that's another level of leadership, is to work with people that are volunteers too, where you have to really understand that they have another life besides Toastmasters, that kind of thing. But I would encourage you to go out to Navigator and check it out. And that's what your new members are seeing when they sign up. Okay. I talked about the catalog. I definitely recommend that, to just be able to plan ahead instead of waiting for someone to show you, get you into the next level. And my goal setting, I talked about that already.
I want a copy of that. Oh, here she is.
I do want to point out, if you are doing things on the old program, you get credit through June 2020, so finish up what you're working on. Personally, what I did, I was in the middle of a manual when we switched to Pathways, so I took about a month or two to finish what I was doing. And I made a personal decision that I wasn't going to pursue a DTM under the old program. I want to get into the new one so I can talk about it and see how long it takes to get a DTM this way. One thing too I want to mention to you guys, make sure that your visitor packets are Pathways friendly. They shouldn't have anything about the old program, CC manual, CL. That might be something that you already have taken care of, but I just want to point it out. And then demonstration time. Okay. No way over. What do you think would be helpful?
Do you want
to
to
see
see
something
really
here?
good, this is really good.
Okay.
We're at 8:40 and, but seriously, this is like answering a lot of questions, so
Right.
it
Yeah.
kind of blends together.
Nobody's
Sorry.
There's
Kind of blends together, so why don't we do,
the
what,
tutorials you can go through in this.
Yes, there are tutorials. I I think the tutorials kind of start to, it's like getting in the internet and you go down a rabbit hole and you're like, where did it go? Where's everything at? You can actually see that if you look in my pathways. I did that in the beginning, and I was like, oh, I need to see all the tutorials. And my education transcript is kind of messy because of all these different tutorials that I brought up. It still remembers that I did these
But
tutorials.
still, you
So
can,
it's a little
you can
step.
pick up a lot of,
I think,
a lot of information that is practical and useful, even though you're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
You're
that's
learning
true.
something, you know.
Can you show where the gear is and
Yeah.
so that people know where their account is?
There's the
and
gear.
that they
Oh, the gear,
they
yeah.
go
I
to my
prefer the
account.
random clicking around and exploring.
Mhm.
That's what I usually do. I wonder what this button does.
Yeah, I know.
I just can't.
Maybe I'm too
You're
multitasking.
like Alice in
There you go,
Wonderland.
you can put a nice face on it and you can.
Yeah,
that's
You
where
can put your
See, that's where
PDF.
you log your
General navigator.
roles,
Speech evaluator.
date,
Toastmasters
put a
June
date in
topic.
there, so
Nice.
so you start work, cause you can be doing that now, right? You don't have to wait till level 4.
Right, right. And every time you change the date, it just changes it. It doesn't.
Can you put other
history or
club members
anything.
up there and a picture?
I mean, I'm gonna go through path level 2, and I can clear this out, I guess,
Right.
and start over. But I'm so active in my club, I don't know if it really
Yeah.
matters that much. But it's just a nod to the fact that we do want to keep meeting roles going.
Nice.
So you can click on your path this way. It's always on that first page after you log in, or you can go here, depending on what you feel like. It's going to show you kind of the same thing: my leadership development path and my motivational strategies.
Hmm.
I paid for motivational strategies, by the way. You do pay for the second one, but it's just like buying the advanced manuals in the old system. It costs $20, and it's worth it.
For each?
It's cheap
For each
training.
additional pathway.
It's
Each
$20
additional. So the first one ever, I mean, I can go through this 11 times if I want to and pay $20 every time I get a new one. But I mean, that's super cheap training for, you go through 14 projects for $20. I think that's pretty,
Yeah.
I think that's cheaper than the old system because you had to pay for each
Well,
of those advanced manuals.
This is great because you keep track of stuff.
Yes.
You have a manual and you
Yes,
get
you don't
notes
lose
and
track,
what
you
written
don't lose
down
the
and you
book.
don't remember you put stuff.
Yeah, you don't lose the book.
Can you start a new path while you're still working on
Yes, that's what I'm doing right here.
it? Oh, okay.
Because I noticed when I was club visiting for my district work that there was times when my leadership development's into bigger projects now where it's not conducive to delivering a speech in. My level 1 is a lot more conducive to that, so I just opened it up. Like I had a speech in another club that I was visiting, they wanted a speaker. I was like, I can always give you a speech. And I got credit for it by doing this. So I have this open and I can work on both paths.
So Lisa, the difference between launch, activate, and open, because I
Yep.
was running into, so after you open up your curriculum, you open up your path, and you know, maybe you've got something and you wanna launch it, that's your first time getting in there.
Right.
So opening is your curriculum.
Right.
Launching is a project within the curriculum.
Yep.
And then activate is
It's-
what?
You're
It's just
saving.
indicates I've never been in there before.
Probably
Once I
saving it.
activate it,
You're probably
it
saving
changes
it.
it to launch. And from launch you can
So
launch.
activate just means like kind of turn it on and get ready. It's like humming, but it's not launched yet. Is that right? Because it's only
It
going to
just
be
means that it's not done.
it's only going to be in that status once.
Yeah.
So once you hit
Actually-
activate, then it'll be in a launch mode from
Once
here on
it's
out.
activated, it stays in launch forever.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
I'm done with Icebreaker, but I can still see launch here.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is kind of where if you wanted to do the project again or kind of refresh your memory, like, there was some really good information on mentoring. I can go back into these screens anytime I want
right.
to see it again.
Look at some of the surrounding resources. So
This takes a minute.
can you go over the little badge things?
Yeah.
Can you?
Um,
It's not critical, and I know we're running on time.
Yep.
but we didn't go over the how do you give,
Yep.
electronic feedback
Mm.
with little badges. I don't know if you smiley faces or whatever.
We have badges at work.
Uh-huh.
Do you?
Yeah.
Electronic ones?
Good job.
Yeah.
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 Thanks for helping me out
So
with
it's
that.
it's something that is it's a
It's
trend
the
or
way
something.
Gold Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. I think it's a millennial thing.
So I just logged back into,
Oh, my badges, okay.
and it just says my badges. So this is where I went to get my path. I can go down here too. This is where I went to Navigator, which is the printout. My feedback, you can load your evaluations electronically there and keep them so that if you ever want to look back at an evaluation instead of trying to find that piece of paper, you can scan them and put them there. I don't do that. I could probably do that with a second level path.
That's feedback you've gotten rather than
Yes.
feedback that you've given.
Correct.
So that's like those little sheets of paper that we give the speakers.
No, it's the big, it's an 8.5 by 11,
You could scan those too though. There's nothing
like,
wrong.
like this.
There's nothing that says you can't.
Yeah.
You're just selecting a file and storing it there. My badges, yeah, it shows me all the levels that I completed.
Well, if I wanted to give, Veda a badge for his icebreaker, when he gives it, where would I do, how do I do that?
It's
You
in
print it
here.
out?
It's what?
It's in here.
Feedback?
And then you can request someone to send you feedback.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, right.
Mary, can you tell me how I did on that one? Even though
Right.
she didn't evaluate me, she was in the club when I delivered it. I can also select to send it badges to other people. How do I do that?
Okay, so that's in the requesting feedback, all of that, and then you can also send a badge,
Yeah,
alright.
I'm not really as familiar with that.
You send badges?
I probably should be more familiar with it, but I'm not.
Okay,
But,
Should have a class on this.
yeah.
well, that's what we're doing, we're
I
having a
meant,
class.
but,
What else
I
do you
mean,
guys
this
have
is
on
an
your
overview.
Do you guys
Class.
feel like you wanna jump in there now and see everything about your path? Come on.
Yeah,
Isn't this exciting? I have a lot of motivation. Or, no, it's not motivation. I was feeling I've gone through a metamorphosis about pathways.
Nice.
Yeah, I forgot what word it was. Starts with M.
So
Okay.
I am not just walking out the door and saying, see ya. I'm around anytime you guys have questions. You know how to get a hold of me.
LJ Purcell's
Yeah.
at
Gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And I'll send out an email and say hi to everybody, so you have it.
Beta's got this.
Is there
Do
any
we have your?
horizon for integrating Easy Speak with Pathways, or to take Pathways and have it start doing it, because it seems like that Pathways should do what Easy Speak does to get out of having so many different software systems.
You could send a note to contact us and ask. I don't use EasySpeak, we use FreeHost, so I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Well, then Pathways should do, in other words, one system, there should be one unitary system that does whatever you use or whatever we use.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of
Make a
anything that's,
suggestion.
And that
Easy
Well,
Speak
the big thing that Easy Speak does for us is lets us do the agendas and keep track
and,
of
yeah,
how long it's been since Jean has done the grammarian role.
Yeah, that's.
and
It's
it
a
also.
tool for the VP.
We don't have to
It
Right.
also,
remember.
right, and
I understand it's a
It's
tool.
been updated for pathways, so, cause I've seen that, so when
It has the
Peter,
topics.
when
Well,
Peter enters in that
projects.
you're doing a speech, it's gonna keep track, and that's huge, because people lose track of what they've done.
I understand that, but just
I lost my
my
books.
technical background says that
You
this,
have a new one.
eventually they're gonna start doing things with this that are being done with Pathways, and eventually, Pathways should eventually do what Easy Speak does,
That would be cool.
and it should be, because then Pathways would be taking over that function. I just don't know if it's on the horizon.
Yeah.
One-stop shop.
I would ask them. If it's, I know FreeHost is sponsored by Toastmasters International, and from what I've heard from
Free
Easy Speak, it was created by Toastmasters, someone in Toastmasters. So I don't know if they're willing to support it like that and integrate it with this, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about that. Or maybe I just don't really listen to that
Yeah,
part of it, 'cause it just
I
doesn't
don't
apply.
think two different software systems are gonna integrate. I'm saying that this has so many features about what we're doing, it should be able to make the agendas and in Pathways and take over those functions that everybody's doing with all these disparate
Yeah.
systems.
And then there could be some more integration.
But you answered that you haven't heard of that, so
No.
that's my
And
answer.
it may be after 2020, July,
Mm-hmm.
2020 and like the old system is completely,
Gone.
totally gone. If everyone, all the developers will go, "Oh, okay, we stopped having this, bifurcated situation and now we can start adding some more cool things.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Any final questions for Lisa on this? You guys are looking pretty wide awake
Sorry,
and
it's a
alert.
lot of information.
No, why,
Tonight.
this is
No, it's
really
all
well done.
online.
Okay, okay, so I need to evaluate her, so let's see, how are we gonna bring this down? We've got 10 minutes.
I think we have time for your evaluation, and then you can turn the meeting back to yourself and as president and
Yes.
close the meeting.
Okay,
Go for it.
so we kind of blew out the doors on our regular roles, but that's, but that's okay.
No, this is
Everyone's,
very
no, I
useful.
know, it's just, we just had to see it.
The
So Toastmasters.
Beta can reuse now, or use, can save the table topics.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll have a different meeting thing
Never
next
throw
time.
anything away, just
You
No,
can
well,
reuse the meeting thing.
I'll reuse it.
So we
We
should
can use it twice in a row.
Change is good.
call for 2 minutes to
Yeah.
evaluate. and
Yeah, I
this is
just
that
figured
one.
that out.
that's good, yes.
So, thank you for the lovely speech, it was very helpful, and we're gonna take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker now. And I'll call you. Okay, now I'd like to call up Jean Symington Craig to evaluate the speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and particularly Lisa, who not only gave this fantastic presentation, but drove here for us, which is really, really, really wonderful. I didn't have her evaluation form, I'm just going to go through, there are some points. What did I really like about what she did? I felt that she did a very, very helpful, useful document here in the very organized, structured points, starting with bigger points and then moving in, so that everything was very logically explained. And so that was one thing, is that she really was orderly. My brain was very happy with that. I also like that she used examples frequently to illustrate a point. So when, for example, when she was talking about project number 2 and the level 1 about evaluating, and give a speech and you give the same speech again, and she said, well, and then there's a gentleman somewhere in the district who just to get that kind of feedback was giving his speech at multiple clubs in order to get that repeated evaluation to improve. And so that was interesting, because that's something we all can do as well. Her eye contact, I thought, was very good. I felt she was looking at everybody around the room. Just the fact that she had multiple sensory pieces to use, so she had visual here. Of course, she got here early to set herself up and got her internet all ready to go, so her setup was all organized. She also had paper copies that we can take home now, and I'm putting this in a really safe place because this was very well organized. We have that, and then of course she had her verbal, visual, and the visual experience that we had up at the front room. I really like that. I don't think that I see areas where you could cut. I think you could easily request more time, make it a full session, and include the parts about base camp. You might include a base camp manager, because every club is going to have 3 people that need to do something in base camp manager.
Maybe I could have like a pre-club meeting with just base camp managers and talk about that.
Because
Because it probably would be
yeah,
boring to
everybody
everyone
else starts yawning,
Yeah, it's not really relevant.
unless they're a well-trained audience and they know they're not supposed to yawn during speeches. But yes, so base camp manager, and then also perhaps this feedback within the application, because we got to that at the end, and it does seem like, according to Aaron, at his place, they do badges and kudos and all of that, and not familiar with that, but it makes a lot of sense. It could be fun, and we're about having fun
Yes.
as well as feeling uncomfortable and threatened and full of anxiety. So those would be, I think, suggestions would be to consider if you're gonna do a full refresher now that you've got almost, it's all put together, is just add a little bit more for those sections. And then I think your question and answers will be really focused because you'll have gone over all the material. But in terms of your delivery, I thought you did really well, and you gave personal stories, and I liked how you said, this is how I've done it, because you're speaking, you're not just saying, this is how it works, you're saying, you're leading from the front.
Right.
Like, I've done this, and this is what I'm doing, so that's like, oh, if she can do it, I could do it. So I thought it was very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, oh yeah, so I'm putting the hand off to my other hat, okay. All right. Do we have any business that we need to do here, right? This is like so on time.
Can I say two things?
Yeah.
One is there is certified training that's available in Atumwa in your backyard. June 22nd, it's kind of a 2/3 of a day Saturday thing. It's free, and I've taken it. It's extremely good. It shows you techniques for handling training people that are adults. Like what it is about interactive training to make it interesting, engaging, that kind of thing. It's super good. It's run by Betty Lawn. You may know her, but she's been in education her entire life as a career, so she's got. It's done very well, the training. I would recommend it.
And she's delegated it out, it looks like she has 2 other people that are gonna actually be doing the
Yeah,
training.
because they're certified.
Okay.
And this gives you the chance to do deliver speeches or training sessions at conferences in the future and TLIs. So if that's something that is something you're like, oh, I would have never done that. This certifies you to be able to do that.
Are there other opportunities besides that date? Because I can't get
Yes.
that date. Okay,
Yep.
and where do you find those?
Yep, on district19.me. And I can publicize those as your area director. I'll keep an eye on them and send you emails. The other thing I want to make sure you guys know about is TLI, which is Saturday, July 13th. Great chance for you guys to road trip as a team. Visit in the car while you drive to Washington. That's where it's at.
Only 30 minutes away.
Yes, yes. And we'll have certified trainers walking you through your club officer roles.
It's a Saturday?
It's a Saturday. It's at an art gallery, so it's kind of a fun, cute little spot to be. And there's a great Italian restaurant next door that we're all going to go to. That's an optional add-on thing. Yep, and it's free training. There's no charges. Free breakfast. So I would encourage you,
Well,
even if you're not
breakfast.
going to be a club officer, feel free to go and check out. There's 2 sessions that are not necessarily about club officers, just about being a healthy club. So,
Yeah,
Saturday, July 13th.
we're tracking that and get a nice carpool going.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that speaker to trainer thing, and I sent the email out. They do have to have 10 people by, I think, by the 15th, I think. But, it's not a great time of the day for me, but I'm willing to go and would like to go if, some people would go. And if we register, we still may not get it because it may not be 10. I don't know where people are coming from other places, but could you think about that seriously? And let me know, because, it's only half an hour away. Right. Is there anyone that knows that they're interested right now?
Well, the 15th is Saturday.
No, the 22nd.
But there's students at
They need to
13.
know in advance.
Yeah, they need to know because the organizers need to know whether to continue or not. So I know Jan, I'm sorry, Jan's gonna be out of town.
I can't go either.
It's the 13th, you said?
The 22nd.
22nd. You have to know by the 13th.
You have to know
15th.
by,
15th.
yeah, this week, for sure.
I can tell you this is probably the closest it's going to be because it's generally like in Des Moines or a lot of times it's Des Moines, just because that's the middle of the state.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
weekend
kind
of
of
the fair.
halfway,
It's
I'm a
I have the
possibility.
fair on Saturdays.
The only reason I'd be interested in it is because you get some certification.
Yeah.
Other than that,
And Lisa mentioned, and I'm glad you said that, is that, if you work with a normal employee, and you're in one of those situations, and you're doing pathways and you're doing these kinds of trainings, it's worth, speaking up,
Yes.
letting your employer know that you are taking this, it's on your own initiative, you're taking initiative and you are completing these things. I've been in an employer side and I would be impressed, and I just like that, so. So good to let me know, and I'm gonna, I guess what I'll do is I'll register for it and then you guys register and then we'll see. Okay. It's, we're a little bit out of the beaten path down here. So for when they do this, it's actually recognizing that we are dynamic enough that they wanna make the effort, the district wants to make an effort to reach us so that we're not always, way out in the boonies trying to get into, Des Moines or, Davenport or whatever. So thank goodness our TLI is close and also our, this training is very, very close. So thanks for all that. All right, next week we have Dan doing a module, right? And I think you said that was gonna take up most of the time.
It's 15 minutes, so we'll have that in table topics.
Okay, good. All right, that's it. Thank you for coming. Let's all clean up and get organized. And one more round of applause for Lisa. Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Lisa.